You've probably seen the headlines, right? The protests, the political drama in France, it's constant. But today, we're going to look past all that. We're asking a bigger, colder question about the future of one of Europe's most important nations. And it's a future that might not be decided by politicians, but by simple, unforgiving arithmetic.
And that really is the central question here. We're framing this whole situation not as just a string of bad political decisions, but as a systems-level problem. I mean, what happens when the core assumptions a society is built on, like a workforce that's always growing, just aren't true anymore?
And this leads us to a really fascinating paradox. The very things that make the French social model so successful, security, great healthcare, a long life, those are now the very things causing its biggest economic headache. 83. That is the average life expectancy in France, one of the highest in the entire world. And that's a huge achievement, right? It's a testament to their social safety net. But this success, this amazing longevity, has unintentionally created this massive structural problem for the nation's economy. So this is the core mechanism we have to understand. Unlike a 401k or a private savings account, the French system is basically a direct transfer of money between generations. The cash that workers pay in today, it doesn't go into some fund for their own future. Nope, it goes straight out the door to pay for the people who are retired right now. And this is where you can see the math just completely breaking down. Back in the 1960s, it all worked beautifully. You had 4 workers paying into the system for every 1 person taking money out. But now people are living way longer and having fewer kids. So that ratio has just collapsed. Today, it's less than 2 workers for every retiree. The system's fundamental math is cracking in real time.
Well, this demographic crunch has basically forced French leaders into an impossible corner. It's a trap where every single potential solution is blocked by some powerful economic or political force. They're in a state of complete and utter gridlock.
So on the surface, there are 3 pretty obvious choices, right? You can make workers pay more, you can tell retirees they have to accept less, or you can just borrow a ton of money to fill the gap. The huge problem for France is that none of these paths are really open to them anymore. Let's break down why.
All right, path number 1, raise taxes. It seems logical. But the thing is, France has already hit the ceiling. Their tax to GDP ratio is already at 44%, one of the highest in the entire developed world. There's just no more room to tax people without doing serious damage to the economy.
And the consequences of this high tax burden are already pretty severe. For every employee, an employer has to pay an additional 45% of their salary in social contributions. This makes hiring new people incredibly expensive, it crushes job opportunities for young people, and it leads to a brain drain, where the country's best and brightest just leave for work elsewhere. Okay, so what about path 2, cutting benefits? Well, that's just as impossible. Just look at this timeline. Every single time a leader tries to raise the retirement age, even by just a year or 2, the result is the same. Massive, crippling strikes, political chaos, and eventually, the reforms just get watered down or suspended to prevent the government from collapsing. So that leaves the third option, just borrow more money. For years, this was the easy way out. But now, you can see the problem. France's public debt has skyrocketed to 115% of its GDP. That's almost double the official limit set by the European Union, a limit that's there to keep the whole Eurozone stable. Now that interest rates are rising, more debt isn't a solution, it's the crisis. And this fact right here just drives the point home. The amount of money France is paying just in interest on its debt is now as big as its entire military budget. Think about that. That's money that can't be used for anything else, and it's a problem that's only getting bigger. So what happens to a country when it's trapped like this, when it's in total gridlock? Well, the system doesn't just stop, it starts to fracture. And what you get is an economy that works really well for some people, but completely leaves an entire generation behind. And this is one of the most glaring consequences. To protect its workers, France created these ironclad permanent contracts, the CDI. But because it's so expensive and so difficult to ever fire someone on one of these contracts, businesses are absolutely terrified to offer them. So you end up with this massive divide. Older insiders who have total job security for life, and younger outsiders who are just trapped in this endless cycle of temporary, unstable work. And that cycle is getting worse. Today, almost 70% of all new jobs in France are temporary contracts that last for less than 1 month. Just let that sink in for a second. The very laws that were designed to create stability are now creating extreme instability for the next generation. This is the question that people in the financial markets are quietly starting to ask. And look, France's economy is way bigger than Greece's, but the warning signs are blinking. In what is a pretty stunning turn of events, the interest rates on French government bonds, basically what it costs them to borrow money, have actually climbed higher than Greece's. That is a huge signal that global investors are getting very, very nervous. So, in the end, this isn't really a story about pensions or protests. It's a story about a system, a social contract, that was built for a different world, a world of post-war growth and big families. But that world is gone. And now, France is facing this stark choice between the promises it made in the past and the unforgiving math of its future.